And guest is back.
We
Welcome back, got Chuck. Welcome back.
appreciate it.
How are you tonight?
Well,
Well, we
I'm look-
didn't make it all the way back. There we go. So, good evening, Chuck. How are you?
I'm doing well. Doing
Not
well.
ba-
Despite last night, doing well.
And we're going to talk about that. And the folks. No one knows we're on tonight. We've been away since right around Thanksgiving. Just let's see here. I had the back issue, and I blame that totally on Jonathan. That started at the very first game of the year, but around Thanksgiving it got so bad that I literally was either crawling or I couldn't move. And the thing that I love about what we do is we're honest here. You know,
Brutal.
I got the couple of days after Thanksgiving, I got stuck on the toilet at work by myself. I couldn't get up. I left my phone in my office because sometimes you just don't want to take your phone with you. So I got stuck on there. Then when I did get home, I got stuck on the toilet twice down here in the den and decided, man, we got to get this back thing straightened out. So that took a while. And then the folks that know me and have been around in our world, I got when Janet and I got COVID, and I got it pretty badly compared to her, not, but I got it pretty badly. I had AFib. I went into AFib, and then it went away, and then it came back post COVID, and they put me on some medicine that took care of all that. And I'm sitting here planning our year, planning the show. Ordered these cool T-shirts we're going to talk about in a little bit. That the proceeds are going to go to the football program. The proceeds are going to go to pay for your gas to get you back and forth to Winston-Salem for all the things that are coming up this next football season, to pay for a lot of this equipment. But the majority is going directly to the Mountaineer football program. But anyway, I'm planning out the shows. And then I went into massive flutter and AFib that just kind of took me by storm. And a week ago tomorrow night, I had a heart ablation. And my blood pressure, if they're working to get my blood pressure under control. But other than that, I'm ready for 24. Let's go. Let's kick some ass and let's go.
All right, let's do it.
So first of all, how are you? How is your health?
Good. Always good.
How's Angie?
Okay. I mean, she battles. She battles daily, and like it's the same story. She has good days. She has bad days. Today was a good day.
That's awesome. That's and not the last time when I saw her when I was down there, I told her when I was leaving, she walked me to the door, and I said, "Well, you got one good thing." I said, "Yes, Chuck can be an asshole, so can I, but by God, he'll dig a ditch to China for you, and he's going to take care of you and look after you." So,
all right.
So that's good. I'm glad she's doing well today. We'll deal with tomorrow.
Exactly.
And college football. The Wolverines won the national championship, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying I told you so, and I'm talking to everybody that's listening and everybody that's going to listen online after the fact, but I told you so. I told you people in August that the best team in college football was in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I told you people that in August.
And look,
yes, I did.
And look what happened.
They were really good. They were really well coached, and
might even make it.
But hold on a minute now. We're going to debate here right off the bat. We're going to have a little discussion because we were talking about analytics today on our text, and when you sent that thing about, well, I'm not a fan of analytics, and I put something in there about You got to have the human element, and sometimes emotion and passion, as well as just common sense, more than analytics, play into it. He said, "Well, I agree, but the stuff with the emotion, da 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 da." But I will say this: Michigan won the national championship based off of them losing the championship game a year ago, and they played this year on emotion and every snap, every play. They played harder than the people that they played. And again, I know Jim's an analytics guy, but again, I just think their passion. Were they talented? Absolutely. Were they more talented than Alabama? No. As far as player for player, absolutely not. Were they more talented than Georgia? Absolutely not. Were they more talented than Washington? What do you? I don't know the answer to that, but I know that they sure played hard, and they played with a chip on their shoulder.
You gotta. Bo Schembechler used to call it enthusiasm. Okay, you got to play that passion or that energy that you've got, the emotion, and it's enthusiasm you got to have. But you cannot let enthusiasm drive you 4 quarters. Enthusiasm is one thing, but you got to have laser focus. You have
Yes.
to have, an intensity about you. And intensity is, I think, different than emotion, because you can control your intensity, where in emotional feelings, that type of thing, that you will have in games. And I believe
you keep talking. This is Coach Crompton. I'm gonna answer this if you don't mind.
Yeah. Is that
talking.
In the second half of yesterday's game, for example, is that, or we had referred, is that Michigan,
we're doing the show. I just didn't know if you wanted to be on.
A practice every time.
I gotta go. Bye.
And so they weren't emotional. If you reading these articles about how they're doing it, because I was intrigued about how are they doing this. They're killing Michigan when in fact they weren't. They closed ranks. One of the hardest things, high school, college, and pro ranks, is to take your whole entire roster and put them on the same page to get them ready for a game. And every day they come in with a mission and better. And when it comes game time, they have that enthusiasm, that emotional charge in them. But once you get about 5 minutes into the game, then your practice, the process takes over. Rely on your training, and they're focused. They didn't make mistakes. They just didn't make mistakes, and so that was through great weeks of practice, because they had a chip on their shoulder and they rallied the troops. They circled the wagons, and so you're right, and I'm right. We're both right on this.
Yeah, and I get the yes.
Right.
And we're going to get back, and we're going to double back, Chuck, to the analytics thing, because I think it reared its ugly head last night, and probably and we're not going to talk about it now, but I just want to say that not probably, but I'm telling you that in my opinion, analytics cost the Detroit Lions a world championship, and we're going to get back and have a great discussion about that. And the people that are in our world know that you and I don't do the NFL anymore, that it's been a while since we've done it. But we're going to talk about the Lions, and we're going to talk about, to quote my granddaughter Avery, the Taylor Swift Chiefs. Oh my God in heaven. Oh my God. So let's kind of go back a little bit.
Right. That's right.
And for all our Mountaineers on here, I have not. I've been trying to take care of honestly just my medical needs over my business, over what we're doing here, over everything, just to get my butt where I should be, and I'm really happy about where I'm ending up here. So I haven't had a ton of time and asked a lot of questions, but I do know that I went and dropped off some food for those poor hungry coaches that wanted to eat the other day, and I went into the auxiliary gym, and I need you folks out there in Tuscola land, in Mountaineer, the Hill, whatever, in Big T land, TFL, man, they were working their fanny off. They were in there, and it was a sight to see. They were working their tails off, Chuck. And I mean, getting after it. They were being coached hard. They were being pushed to their limit, and they were responding well when I was in there. And I'm looking forward to spring to kind of see where they are. They've added a really good piece in their coaching staff. The former head coach at Owen. You know the young man, correct?
Zach Gibson, right? I know of him.
Yeah. No, and he officially started this last Monday a week ago. I think, and according to him, and according to Jonathan, and according to the whole staff, it is a great fit, and so they are getting ready for 24. I do have some things that I know that it's not my place to say, but it looks like we're going to have 5, possibly 6 kids get a chance that are going to be able to go to school and get money and play at the next level. Now, whether they get there and they succeed and they do those things, that's up to them. But I do know that this coaching staff and Jonathan has worked his ass off for these kids. And I mean, burning up the phone lines, burning up the emails, burning up Huddle and Instagram and TikTok and all this other stuff. And I do want to say this for you.
Hey, David, move your camera to where you're full on the screen.
I'm sorry, bud. I want to. Is that better?
Go the opposite way.
This way?
No, go the other way. There you go.
Okay, but I have to say this, and I want to make sure that people understand. When this happened, not even a year ago, with Jonathan, what did he start? He started in April, so they were far behind.
Yeah, April 1.
And the first 2 phone calls he made, the first 2 phone calls this kid made were to you and me. And he said, I'm going to need your help. My kids are going to need your help. And it's not just going to be this. And he was very adamant about this, about what we do here. He was very adamant. But he had long discussions about the responsibility that he feels and that he's going to take on about kids if they get a chance to go to the next level, and if they're truly good enough to go to the next level, and to get their education, I need you all in, and I'm going to ask you to do things, and I know what I have done. I know what you've worked your ass off. You've called schools. You've communicated to schools. If you've sent less than 500 emails, I'd be stunned. The work that you have put in for these kids and for this program and for our kids to get an education. Football is a great thing. We all love it. But you and I spent hours talking about education. And man, Chuck, hopefully, here soon, they're going to be able to announce a lot of these things. And I know that you know certain things, but I don't feel like it's our place to say names.
Right.
But I do know this, that you don't know what I'm going to tell you. This is just between me and you, okay? Okay. A certain offensive lineman, his family saw my wife today.
Mm-hmm.
He got an offer from one of the top Division II schools in the nation. Not just a little bit, not just a little. That in D2 football, they're a top 5 program. They are in North Carolina.
Oh, I know. Okay.
They are in Hickory. Hey, I got goosebumps. Because the first thing when I got home this evening, Janet said, "My God, I got to tell you. So I think if one goes, then the other's got the offer too. Just saying.
That's awesome.
And this is not some, and again, I'm so again, I want to thank you. I'm going to thank you for the kids. I'm going to thank you for their parents. I want to thank Jonathan. I want to thank his coaching staff that he sat down in a room and said, "Hey, this is our responsibility." So, cool beans. So a lot of good things for these kids that were only in this part of the program, starting basically in April. I mean, you got a wide receiver, Chuck, that probably, and this is not a slight on anybody, it's just what was done, it's the way it was run. Chuck, you got a wide receiver that you love that probably caught, 1 or 2 balls in his whole career until this year. This kid's going to play on Saturdays and be an impact player for somebody and get his education paid for. And he's going to catch a ton of footballs. A ton of footballs. So good things are happening for these seniors that went through so much. Good things are going to happen for this program. You got to go win the games. They got a tough schedule next year, but they're working real hard.
Right.
They're working real hard. I guess I'm going to, look, this is our show.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel, and yes, this is the Tuscola Football Network. And yes, we got a lot that with the Mountaineers. And before we talk about other things, I'm going to do this. I need people to come down and call me, come see me. If you are a Tennessee person, you understand what VFL means. It's Vol. You are a Vol for life. You know what I'm saying? VFL, #VFL. One of the things for Jonathan is he wants that power tee to be the focal point of our of the branding. Is that the right word I'm supposed to use?
Jonathan's mission is to sweet.
TFL, Tuscola for life. There are 100 of these waiting on you. You need to call me, text me, get on me here, find me on my phone, come by the office. We need to get these things. We need to get them out in the community. We need to sell them. We got hats coming that are TFL. We got a lot of really cool branding, marketing things coming, and the money is going to the program. The money is going to the program. It is going to take care of you getting back and forth. And this stuff ain't free. It's going to take care of helmets. It's going to take care of mouthpieces. It's going to take care of whatever part that we can do to help and give back to the program directly into the football end of it. I'm not sliding other things. I'm not, because I give my money and time and everything to every program up there. But this part is we've branded it. We're going to brand that T is going to be what everything's all about. So these shirts are waiting on you. We got from 3X down to small or medium, I think. And we've got 100 right now we need to get rid of and get them out here and let people know, because when they see that T, they need to understand what that T is. So Anyway, I'm gonna. Are you in a position to talk about the hire on the other end, or is
Yeah.
that something you don't want to talk about?
No, I do want to talk.
Because I think our people want to know. I think
Right.
our people are interested, and
Right.
and so I'm going to kind of throw it to you, and kind of because fill us in.
Well, I mean, they went through a hiring process, and it was a long, arduous process. They had talked to a number of candidates, and they ended up making that offer to Ricky Brindley, who was a former assistant coach with David Presley, and everybody on the other side. I love Pisgah. I will say that I love Pisgah. I love both schools. Um, since Jonathan has come on board, I love Tuscola. I like Tuscola, but I love Tuscola now. So I love both schools. But you know what I think of David Presley. I've always told him if my son was going through, I'd want him to coach him. So, and that may not be a popular viewpoint. That's my viewpoint. They had to find a coach, and I believe that it came down to the fact that Pisgah wanted an elite coach, and for various reasons, economic, real estate, the cost of living, so on and so forth, they had a lot of no's, and they got a head coach who has head coaching experience, who is I think he's a very smart football coach, and that is Ricky Brindley. And it is loved by the assistant coaches.
So yeah, so he and Johnny Crompton are going to coach against each other.
Well, that incident where he was at Smoky Mountain may come back and bite him in the ass, and karma's a bitch. But sometimes you can act very immature and arrogant, and you get humbled. You got to get humbled.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just a smart aleck in me.
No, because it's classless what Smoky Mountain did. It's just, and we talked about that on our show. It's classless. But despite that,
yeah, back to this thing.
I like Ricky Brindley. Okay, and so the thing that surprised me was when it come to, you hear a lot of things around the county and everything. When it came up to the board meeting and having the vote was 5-3, 6-3, or something 5-4. I don't know. It was something like that. It's the first time I have ever heard of a coach not getting unanimous board approval. I mean, he was 2 votes away from not getting that job. And I'm like, okay, hold on one second. What's going on here? But I had talked to an assistant coach at Pisgah who I admire. And, I won't say his name, Jacob Hanna. But he said, Ricky will unite our coaching staff. And they will find out a united coaching staff is going to be good for Pisgah. If those fans, and there may be few, there may be none, but if those fans out there love Pisgah, give the man a chance, let him unite the coaching staff and see what happens to his program. Okay. And I think he will do well. And, he's no longer at Smoky Mountain, but I'm sure that, that other stuff that took place, not allowing the bus to come in and not allowing him to get in the locker room, and then the instigation of a fight after, and then the calling Johnny Crompton. It's a classless act, classless. And the people at Pisgah are class people, and they won't tolerate that. So, that's just my viewpoint, is that's it. And if they'll give them a chance, as long as they can unite the coaching staff, they're on the right road.
Good, and there's nothing better than having two great programs here.
I will tell you, this has amped up the rivalry game. It's amped up. We haven't even got into it. It's amped up. So it's going to be interesting, but I do, here is what's happening over at Tuscola is a united coaching staff already. They were united through the football season. Now they are working it's full speed ahead. There's been no time off. The kids that are staying are benefiting. The kids that are graduating are going off and getting at least opportunities and look-sees. And he's also, his staff are hitting the phones and putting film on and getting people to look at these kids that are juniors and sophomores coming up in this program.
Got a lot of good youngsters.
Yeah.
Got a lot of good youngsters. I'm really excited to see our linebacker be able to come back from that knee injury on the second play of the season against Asheville High. He's just going to be a junior. The middle school coach's son. I'm really bad with names, and I apologize for that. But he's going to be a stud at linebacker.
Right.
Really excited. Going to have we got two kids. We got some kids that really want you again. Hey, you got to go compete, and you got to play on Friday nights. But the other stuff is really beautiful to see. The winning and losing, I can't tell you what's going to happen because you. But I mean the work ethic, even the small things like walking in that locker room day one, and I never forget. I think he called, and correct me if I'm wrong. He called you too. I think he put us on a 3-way call.
Right.
And he was, because that, Jonathan is a gym rat, and Coach Matthews might be listening to us. When he was a middle school player, he never wanted to leave the locker room. Over at Irwin, underneath the old gym at the middle school, was the football locker room. And he would stay there till Coach Matthews would run him out and make him leave at night. He is a gym rat. And the locker room is sacred to him. And everything about the locker room is sacred. And his time at Tuscola, the 2 years he was blessed to play in this program, that locker room was a big deal. And it was immaculate. And Chuck, I'm pretty sure he put us on a 3-way call when he talked about what he walked in and saw.
Right.
The filth and
when he got done, we just both almost the same time. We both said, "Well, get cleaning it up." I mean,
that's what he did.
Right.
But you walk in there now, and again, does this help you win football games? I think it does. But that's just me. But, man, you could go in there and eat off the floor. Every locker, the kids know that they keep their locker right. They know that their clothes got to be a certain way. They know that their shoes can't be on the ground, that their helmet has to be hung the right way. And a lot of that comes from Jonathan with Coach Matthews, with Coach Nolan, from Frazier, the equipment guy at UT, and playing for Belichick. You're going to do these things. Now the method to do these things might have been different from each person, but each person said, hey, this is how we are going to do. This is a process. This is the plan. And, so it's pretty cool to see that part. Again, I don't know about the winning and losing, but the camaraderie that I saw when I've only been to one basketball game, but to watch the camaraderie of those kids with that coaching staff. Now they understand that Jonathan is the guy, and he don't. But the relationships that are being built are pretty darn special. I think it's pretty awesome. For that side of it, again, I can't speak for winning and losing, because if he asked me, I'd just say blitz every play.
Well, here's the thing that
He doesn't ask me.
right. And the things that are happening at Tuscola is, and I emphasize the very fact that he's recruiting for the junior class that are going to be seniors next year for the 24 football season. If you are not recruiting for the juniors right now, when you start, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. You're going to be late in there. Coaches are going to already have their idea of who they're recruiting. You're going to have a hard time getting them to listen to you. This is what Jonathan has run across coming in at April 1st and not knowing the kids. He had to go and make sure when he goes and says, Anancia is a quality wide receiver. He's got to know that, and he's got to have proof in the films. So over at Tuscola, when you have a coaching staff that's united, Tuscola's is united, there's trust. And so what happened is he come in and had an idea because he trusted, they didn't know each other. Ricky Brindley has an opportunity because he knows these coaches, to trust them and say, who have we got to recruit? I'm not afraid to get a no from a school, because you never hold a gun to their head. But if you can show them somebody and one of them says yes, then you got an opportunity to get that kid recruited. And I'm going to tell you a little story, real quick, little Chuck Fiebernet story. Junior in high school, all I thought about was going to go play college ball. My junior year, we had 7 guys go off to play college football. 6 of them played D1, got offers at D1. You had through the time, my head coach as a junior set me down and says, where you want to go? How are we going to do this? And I told him that I'd like to go D1. He said, okay, no problem. Now, was I D1 at that time? No. But he was going to, but he says, may not like you. But he says, if you can do that and wade through that, he said, you'll have an opportunity to go. What do you want to do? And I said, I want to play football and baseball on a college level. I'm a junior now. So that's fine. So he started with all our junior class from Booker Moore, played Penn State and got drafted #1 by the Buffalo Bills. I mean, there's a mess of people. But that junior year, Rick Leach and Gene Johnson went to Michigan. You had Penn State, you had Michigan State, you had Central Michigan, you had Western Michigan. I seen coming through the hallway as a junior, Paterno, Stoltz from Michigan State, saw Bo Schembechler, a bunch of Michigan coaches. I saw McKay, who was at USC, walk the halls. So when I'm a kid that wants to go off to college, I'm going to tell you, I was a highly motivated person because my coach was getting it done. If he could get them to the school and see them and get these guys recruited, I have a shot. Because you got to remember, I played football with them. They were good. They were slightly better than I was, but they weren't a whole lot better. So the fact of the matter is that it is a motivational factor when you can get something accomplished for a kid that's wanting to do this. Don't make the mistake head coaches always make. Well, I don't think you could play D1. Now I tell you the second part of the story. I was a defensive coordinator at Mount Airy High School. And when I left Mount Airy with 3 players that were college football players. One I thought was D1, but I was sending them to D2, D1 AA. I was recruiting for these kids. And because the head coach told me to do it, he said, you handle it. And when I left, the coaches that were left at Mount Airy before I left told me, there is not a player in this school that is a college prospect at any level. So I went to Tarboro, and I was an offensive coordinator over there. In my first year, they called up, John Bradley called up and said,
I'm listening.
My recruiting is dried up. Now, he's a senior. I said, well, who do you got offers or who do you got people interested in? He said, no one. They killed all the recruiting. So I we were playing in the third round. They got eliminated in the second round. So they were coming all the way across state to Tarboro, and they were going all week to bring me 15 cassette tapes. Remember the old days where we had cassette tapes?
VHS, baby. Charlie Hensley,
Yes.
the man, the myth, the legend.
Yes. So they brought all 15. I sent all 15. They gave me the money to mail them out. I sent all 15 out that Saturday. Tuesday, I had a guy named Charlie Cornier, who was the recruiting coordinator at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's in the SEC, wanting to know, is he really this? Is he really that? And I said yes to all the questions. We didn't, ad-lib. He was 6'1.5" and 210 and was a Brahma bull. I mean, he'd hit you and knock you into next week. And he said, our defensive coordinator, Coach Reese, Bull Reese, I think he was called. He coached with Spurrier. Watched 4 plays on the highlight reel and said, "Turn it off. This kid can play. I've seen enough. I've seen the way he can play." And so they started the process. That was when DiNardo was there. So in 2 weeks, I heard nothing else from the other 14. But in 2 weeks, that one school that inquired, that D1 school, offered him a full ride, and he played 4 years, got his degree from Vanderbilt, and was captain of the football team for 2 years, junior and senior year. High school coaches can kill your kids' prospects and opportunities because they think they can determine what a kid can do and cannot do. It is not their job. It is their job to create the opportunity. Somebody called Donnie Kiefer and asked Donnie how he did it with his kids. Donnie Kiefer let the coaches say yes or the coaches to say no. I talked to a high school coach one time and he told me, well, I'm just afraid that when they go and they come back and they quit, it's a reflection on me. And my first thing is, did you hold a gun to their head? They watched the film. They took note. They had them on campus. If they said yes and they did not keep them on campus, you are absolved of that. You just created and opened the door from the kid.
Hey, give them a chance, right?
That's all you want.
That's it. Because at the end of the day, when they show up and they sign, they show up, they do their thing, they either do or they don't.
I have to add this. In today's football, college football, with kids quitting and transferring, do you know that 70% of their rosters on the collegiate level change? You're going to lose 7 out of 10 of your kids to either quitting or transferring. You're going to have 30% of those scholarships and walk-ons stay. That's it. People move all the time. So why don't you give a kid a chance to stay 4 years or 5 years, get a degree, and if he can be dressed up on the sidelines for 4 or 5 years, applaud yourself because he experienced something rare. It's rare that these high school kids get. Please.
And then, we're going to move on to other things, but, Coach Matthews and I have not in the last 2 years, we haven't been to Mars Hill. We literally followed them and reported on them, and were there in the coaches' meetings, in recruiting, in the coaches' box during games from 2010 until 2021. And one of the neatest things, and I know Mike will tell you this, there was a kid from upstate South Carolina that was not a really good football player, but a great kid. And he got some money, and we combined with his academic money, he didn't have to pay for college. And he was the long snapper. And he was really good at that. And he talked garbage. I mean, he would stand, it was almost to the point where we would go to the games and they would say, hey, we got your seats up here in the coach's booth. And we'd say, no, we got something else. And we would follow this kid on the sidelines as he's just talking trash to everybody. But the moral of the story is this kid got his degree, transferred to Clemson, got his master's degree, got it paid for. He didn't play football at Clemson. He played at Mars Hill, long snapper, but got the money and all the academics after he got his degree from Mars Hill. You know, and you know, it's bigger than just with what we're talking about. Now, coming through here, those kids that are going to go and be like the top recruits in the nation, that doesn't happen every day. Okay. And they've got options to say and do, and that most don't. But man, to get a chance to go to college, to get an education, to play a sport that you've loved your whole life, come on, we're good with that. You know what?
I have two things to finalize this whole thing, and I'll get off my soapbox.
Yeah.
One, your parent, father, mother, has a player, junior, going to be a senior. You have the right and expectation to call the head coach and sit down with the head coach and say, what are we going to do about him? What is the procedure? Have you started recruiting? You need to ask the coach one time. You just got to ask him one time. You got to let him know this is important to us, but we need to know you got a lot of other things, but you have got to, it could be a 15-minute. What is little Johnny, are you going to recruit for him? Yes. Okay. Don't ask what level the man's going to coach. He's going to recruit for him. The second thing is that you had a quarterback show you about being late as a coach. You have a quarterback at Tuscola that was put before the ACC team, this ACC program. And the head coach, told Jonathan that I would take this kid, Jonathan. I love what this kid can do, but I can't, because he would be the third quarterback this year I would recruit. I'm already got two coming in. Now, y'all think about that.
Yeah, because he said, how come we didn't know?
Yeah, how come we did not know about this kid? What's Jonathan? I'm a new coach. I came in April. I mean, I had a mess on my hands. And so the fact is that he was starting to put out stuff. And when it came time, I think it was like September, he got that film, because he had to put some game films of what his coaching was for him. And so he then could say, I personally coached him. This is what he can do. This is what he lacks and has to improve. This is him, because I'm his coach. He can't say what happened if he came from another school. The fact of the matter is, I think it might have been October, and the head coach didn't even know about him. One, and he said, this kid's ACC, but I can't take him, Jonathan, because I put everything into these two kids coming on board.
And the transfer portal.
And the transfer. And they got one transfer from Louisiana Tech, I think it was.
Because I think that, and again, I know we need to move on, but I do want to say this. What people don't understand, and look, we're all still learning this, but high school players are further down the totem pole than they used to be. It's really simple, because COVID stacked everything up. There's a backlog of 22, 23-year-old, 24-year-olds that have 6 years, some 8. But there's one kid somewhere that just got his 9th year. We read that the other day. So if you're the guy in you got your in your war room, and you're trying to recruit your own kids to keep on your team, transfer portal opens up, and you got a 17-year-old high school kid that's going to take a couple of years to get to where you feel like you can at least get him ready to get on the field, or you got a 21, 22-year-old kid that's already been out there, done that. Who are you going to take? Who are you going to take?
I'm going to take that transfer.
And that's the reality of what we're dealing with. So, and I'll say this last thing, and then I promise we got to move on.
Yeah.
If a kid comes and goes, man, I know I can play at a certain level. I can play in the SoCon, or I can play in the ACC, or I can play in the SEC. But and the only offer I got from this SAC school, from Mars Hill, from Virginia Wise, or from Lenore Ryan, or whatever. Okay, that's good. Because you look at Missouri, take Missouri. I do not know the kid's name. I know he's the running back, number 7. He had one offer out of high school, correct?
Yeah, Northern Colorado, I think it was.
No, he didn't even go. It was way. This was a D2. He went to a D2 school.
Yeah,
D2.
that Northern Colorado was a D2 school.
Yeah, he went to a D2 school, and basically as a walk-on, they gave him a little bit of academic money, and he worked his way on the field. And he kept working, and he kept working. And the way that the transfer thing is set up now, he goes, I can play. And he, by God, transferred to Missouri, led the nation in rushing as an SEC running back, led his team to a 12-2 year. Is going to get drafted very early in the National Football League. And you know, so if a kid, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if it's not for you to go to a lower level to start, because you can go any dadgum where you want now. It's not like it used to be.
Well,
it's not. You go there, you show what you can do, you get some tape, you impress some people, and then you turn around and go, I'm going to Alabama, or I'm going to Virginia, or I'm going to North Carolina, or whatever. Go. Because you have the ability to do that now. Whereas used to, you couldn't do that. So all that being said, 4 teams in the finals of NCAA college football championship, and 3 have new head coaches.
right.
And I will say this, and we had this discussion because we talked about Dabo. It started out talking about Dabo. Dabo, they're going to win down there again. I don't think they're ever going to be what they were. Dabo is not a fan of the NIL, the way that it's handled with no regulations. He's not a fan of the transfer portal, and they've slipped a little bit. I don't know if he's a good fit for this day and time. He might not be. I still think he's better off in the TV booth. I believe in my heart that Coach Saban, and again, nobody is more anti-Alabama than this old boy who watched his kid get devastated down there in a game that I still, all these years later, Tennessee won. But anyway, that's just me. But Coach Saban, I don't think he left because he was 72, Chuck. I think he just looked around and goes, man, when do we get to be with my family? When do I've got to recruit my roster 12 months a year? I got to keep the kids on my team. I got to recruit these kids. I got to kiss their butts at that level 12 months a year. I've got to recruit the transfer portal. And because it's an elite, like an SEC, Big 10, Big 12, you're a Power 5 team, you still got to go recruit these high school kids. And then you got to handle all the NIL stuff. Your coaching staff is turning over. His coaching staff was turning over every year like water. And some of these guys just couldn't coach for him, and some of these guys that coached for him got to move on to bigger and better things because they were there. Right. I just think he looked in the mirror one day and said, man, I've accomplished what I can accomplish. I've done a great job. And this new world of college football, of college athletics, is not for me. And I think that's why he left. I don't think being 72 had one darn thing to do with it.
Well, there was 2 incidences added on to what you just said, because you are spot on with that. Is that one, he got sick and was between the SEC championship game and the semifinal, and he missed an entire week, and he was bad. At 72, is that there was concern that he may not live through this. I don't upper respiratory. I don't know exactly what it was, but he got sick and was sick for one whole week. And Saban, for one whole week, he was nowhere to be seen in that program. His assistants were running that program. And number two is that his bride, Miss Terry, has the oncoming stages. I think it's Alzheimer's. And he just sat there and said, I'm done. And it was more towards who's going to take care of Miss Terry? He is. His sickness woke him up. And then why am I going to stay around and deal with this madhouse?
Because it is a madhouse, Chuck.
Right.
It is at that level. Let me throw something at you and see if you agree or you disagree. That's what I love about what we do. When I talk about the SEC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and I can't say the Pac-12 any longer, but whatever it is going to be, there is no end to this because there is no regulation. There is no regulation in the NIL. There is no regulation. I know that they say there is in a portal, but there's not. How in God's name does a kid play college football for 9 years? Answer me that. That's bullcrap.
I know.
How does he play college football for 9 freaking years? There is no excuse for that. So it is the Wild West, and the one guy who, even though he uses the portal to his advantage, but the one guy who keeps jumping up and down and going, this is not good. This is not good. This is wrong. We've got to fix this. We've got to talk about this, is Lane Kiffin.
Right.
And when Lane is jumping up and down and saying that, you got to go, whoa.
Right.
Because he's right.
Right.
He's right. Because it's trickled down. It's trickled down. As we talked about a long time ago, it's trickling down and affecting things. It is now a reality that it is affecting programs that are not Power Five, that are not the elite of the elite as far as those things, because that money is starting to dry up at these other places. It's starting to go away. Because what is it that the guy from Ohio State said? How much money did he need in 2 weeks ago?
$13 million, and he went to the community and says, you got to pony up $13 million for me to go out there and offer these guys on the roster. And I'm like, is this not illegal? The NCAA is just standing by watching this. He's telling them, I need you to pony up, community boosters, $13 million so I can take that money and offer the signing bonus to come on board.
Yep. So, my world, the way that I look at it, has changed. I'm always going to root for Tennessee because, those kids that, Jonathan went there, and the kids that he played with, they left their blood, sweat, tears on the field at Neyland Stadium. They left everything they had there. Mm-hmm. And I will root for them because of that. But I go back and I go, if you're I mean, how do I say this without sounding like an asshole? But if you're like Truett, Alabama, how can you stay Alabama when the kids playing at Alabama go, I don't care, because I'm going to leave here. I played really well as a freshman. I played really well, but I'm going to go on down the road because they're giving me more money.
Because
and
that question.
So why be loyal?
You there?
Yeah, I said, but why be? What's the advantage for the guy footing the bill, the fan, to be loyal to these programs that there is no loyalty?
Saban, Saban specifically, you lumped in that what is happening to, at Alabama, and I saw this for 3 years. This is what I had seen, and the level of football. Being a fan of college and loving good teams, is the fact is that because it's all around him. If you don't do it, you will not survive. Dabble doesn't do it, and he is brought down. He's no longer in the league. So it's happening everywhere. Everywhere. And the NCAA just sits back and says, just that, nothing.
So,
but they'll bust an ass on somebody getting cheeseburgers.
Yep.
And we steal a little signs. Who cares?
Yeah. Let me throw this out. Let me ask you a question.
All
right. I know what my answer is because we've talked about it in our group text. Which, folks, if you want to learn really about athletics and sports in life, man, you should see our group text. I have found these things now that in the mornings I wake up my friends with these little things in the morning. But if you are the head coach at the University of Michigan and you are making $9 million a year and you got to recruit 12 months a year, you got to recruit your kids you've already got, you got to recruit the transfer portal, you got to recruit the high school kids at that level, which means you're dealing with a lot of spoiled kids and their families. You got to handle NIL. You got to go to the community like that guy that we are not a fan of at Ohio State and say, you need to pony up $13 million. You got to do all this stuff. Or you can go to the NFL. Guys are under contract. They can't leave. You're going to make the same or more money. About the only recruiting you're going to do is when free agency comes, you're going to have 3 or 4 guys that you're going to go out and take out to dinner and show your stuff and say, this is what we're doing and we're building something special. And you're going to eat as much as they work. You're going to spend more time with your family. It's a no-brainer to me. If everything being there, man, I am not coaching in college football in this world, in the way that it's set up now. I am Jim Harbaugh, and I'm going, thank you, guys. And I'm a Wolverine. I am a Michigan man. But me and the LA Chargers, we got this now because I don't have to do all that other crap.
It is LA. It is Los Angeles, isn't it?
So my question to you is, what are your thoughts on that part as far as because I think the NFL now is a better gig. I'm not saying it's easier, but in ways it's much easier. I'm not talking about the football side of it.
Right.
But I think it's a much, much, much better gig. A much better gig.
I will tell you this, and I'll answer it in 2 parts. One is that Jim Harbaugh, of all people that we've talked about, said about his 2nd year, 3rd year into the program at Michigan is that the hardest thing for him to do is be able to deal and outcompete the cheaters. They were cheating back then. It was getting out of hand. There was no regulation. The NCAA was not enforcing anything. Number 2 is in our conversations and through about the last year, when this thing's really just exploding with crime, criminal behavior and unethical behavior and immoral behavior, is I can't think like that because college to me was the ultimate. You go to school, I'm old fashioned. And I can't think of cheating like that. I can't put my mind. And so that was my missing that college football because I can't think like these guys. Or Harbaugh was an honest man, and they jump all over Jim, and I'm going to use Jay Billis. You really think basketball's the only one paying out all this money? When he was on ESPN and, they were having the basketball program, the NIL was created by Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, to make USC competitive. And no regulations, but isn't it funny? Our conversations are, about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, what happened to all those basketball, programs under investigation? When NIL hit, they went away.
I got to give Jonathan credit for one thing, because we had got into a knockdown drag out with you and I against him.
Yeah.
And I even called him on the phone and we had a fight.
Yeah.
And he kept talking about, you don't understand, college athletics is not going to be what you think. College athletics is going to be basically minor, talk about the elite levels. It's going to be NFL minor. And I said, you're full of crap, and we ended up we fought and argued. And he said, you know how Jonathan is. He got to that point and he says, you're my dad and stuff, but you don't know what you're talking about. And he hung up on me.
Right.
So really, I hate to see the state, and every show that we have, we end up talking about it.
Right.
But
Jonathan,
I'm glad for.
Okay, he lived it. It wasn't that Jonathan has this crooked mind. Is that Jonathan lived it and seen it. He's seen, had seen this, and why we didn't see it was because we can't put ourselves in there and go, whoa.
He'll be back in a second, folks. That's the beauty of live shows. So I don't know. Let me see if I have to send him a new invite. Hold on a second. Don't leave us. Don't leave us yet. We're working hard here. Just stay right there a second, folks. I'm working on it. Hold on. There we go. I had to resend him. Are you back, Chucky? There we go.
Yeah, but
he's alive. He
alive.
lives. But anyway, it's so pitchers and catchers report in what, about a week and a half or so.
Can I bring up, before we jump to baseball, just one item, interesting tidbit? Well, Jonathan Crompton played in his sophomore year at Irwin, and he played against a AC Reynolds quarterback. That's the Lions offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Ben.
Played at University of Tennessee with the New England Patriots' new head football coach, Gerard Mayo.
Yeah.
There's an NFL connection. This is the
They're very, very tight.
Right.
And he and Mayo.
That Purdy, I think it was with Jeb Nolan, came to a Tuscola.
Zeb.
Did you know that?
Huh?
Jed, I think he was with Jeb Nolan.
Zeb
Nolan, okay. Purdy, who quarterbacks San Francisco, came to a Tuscola football game. It was at C.E. Weatherby Stadium watching Tuscola play. He was in, nothing significant, but I found it to be, that is interesting. That is an interesting tidbit. The connection that this has when you reach the ultimate level and the knowledge that you get, but you're also the connections you have. Yeah,
and that's the one thing that.
Back to baseball.
No. Oh, hey! Before we talk about baseball, because you must have slept late this morning, because when I sit the wake up thing, you didn't give me the usual reply, and then after that, I just wanted. I told you guys I was on a roll really early, and I was at the office and I was on a roll, And folks, help me out either live or later on when you watch this on the streaming after the fact. Now I want you to watch Chuck's face when I say this, because okay, this is a quote from me this morning. A proper hot dog has chili, slaw, and ketchup on it. Mustard and onions are basically God's way of spoiling your day.
I think you're just doing that to piss me off.
No. That's you don't put mustard and onions on a freaking hot dog. Help me out, folks. You know I'm right. We've got a yeah.
A little story.
So
we were up in Michigan. We were going through one of the largest flea markets up in Midland. I had Lindsay with me, Angie's youngest daughter, and she was raised in Low Gap. And I looked at her and said, "Do you want a hot dog?" We come up to a hot dog stand. It had the Coney Islands, the Flint sauce Coney Island. And she said, "Yeah, I'll take one." So she gets it and she says, I'd like 2 hot dogs and I will take them with mayonnaise. And I just went, oh, no.
Okay, I would have walked away too.
It stopped everybody. You're
Yeah.
going to hot dog with what? She said mayonnaise. Mayo. You have
I'd
it?
have walked. No.
They're looking around for packs of it. They think they got it. They found 2 packs. She had a light dab of mayo on her hot dog. And I'm just like, no. And I've had coleslaw. Now
you can disown her.
I
You can disown her. That's all you got to do.
I can't do that. Angie kicked my ass.
Okay. I'll keep that.
No.
Sam, so we've been on for 1 hour and 8 minutes, and we're gonna go for about 23 more, and then we'll get off here and we're gonna get back on our regular routine. Folks, please come see us at Crompton's Auto Mart. It's just been a tough winter, and we need to kind of get back and get back into doing what we do. We need to sell some cars, because our sales have been off a ton. I don't care about your credit. Come see us at Crompton's Auto Mart. We need to get back in business so we can keep spending that money and supporting this football program. These shirts, they're down there. Everybody needs a TFL shirt. Come get it. Get them for your family. Get them for your friends. Let's get this first batch sold out so we can get the sweatshirts, so we can get the long sleeve T-shirts, so we can get the hats, and we get out here, because TFL is a big deal. It's not just a saying. Being up on that hill and is a big deal. Now, all that being said, analytics. And if you and I don't really do the NFL anymore, but I bought in to the Lions because to me it was a bigger story than football. I think in the last 25, maybe 30 some odd years, what they were doing for that city, for Michigan. Michigan's been beat up. Detroit in that area have been beat the heck up. Was phenomenal. I think yesterday, and I love the Coach Campbell thing. Somehow I'm on a thing that I get sent a lot of his stuff that he does with the team in the meeting room and in the locker room, and I immediately listen, watch, and I send those to Jonathan, every single one, and just say, hey, man, just watch. But all that being said, they were a better football team than San Francisco. Now, whether people want to believe that or not, I don't care. I know the game. I know what my eyes saw. You're up 27-3. or 27. Is it 27-3 at halftime, or 27-10 at
24.
halftime? Okay, yeah, they're up 17. They're up 17, and get in field goal range to take another 3-score lead. At that point, I don't care what analytics says. You're not chasing points. You just need, if you kick that field goal, they're down 3 scores. It makes no difference how many, you're down 3 scores. To go for that 4th down was atrocious. And to go for the second 4th down, and I know that the kid dropped the ball, but that's not the point. That's not the point. You kick those field goals. You make them chase points. Let the analytics have to be on their side. And then late in the game, they were still in the game with a little over 2 minutes to go, had their timeouts, had 3 timeouts, and you got to throw the ball in the end zone. And they ran the ball and they used their first timeout. Using that first timeout was a big deal because that came back and haunted them in the last 30 seconds of the game. I like the guy. I think he's going to do some things, hopefully in Detroit, that just for the city. I don't care about the football stuff, just for the city and the region. Man, analytics cost them the world championship. And you, Jonathan, Mike Matthew, Janet, no one can convince me I'm wrong on that because they were not chasing points. Go ahead.
Well, I agree with you 100% that the analytics, botch field goals, or botch.
You'll be on for about 2 minutes.
Both drop passes, both by the same receiver.
Right.
He thought it was funny the first time he did it. The second time, he did it. It was a critical moment. But if you're successful on one of those two, yes, they're chasing points. 100% I agree with you. But in the second half, and if you go and make both of them, what did they lose by? 3.
Yeah.
They won the football game. Okay, yep. Or at least 5, and they can go into overtime. And you don't know how, if they're chasing 3, how that changes the play calling for San Francisco. And I felt he got, I don't want to say bullied, but because he leads the NFL and going for it on 4th downs, I figured he'd just do it again. And I'm like, this is a moment you're playing to get to the ultimate game and get points on the board. And that was the number 1 reason. The number 2 reason is we melted down. We had balls bouncing off helmets, missed interceptions, dropped passes. We went to a very conservative pounding it. And then our quarterback, I've not been convinced of the quarterback, but I'll give you this. I sat from a distance. I watched the opener against Kansas City. Then I didn't watch another game because it's the Lions, okay? I grew up with this. And I got sucked in week 15. And I watched every game from week 15 on. And it was, it's like John Truitt's dad was from Garden City, Michigan, and he was a Detroit Tiger fan. He was in the United States Air Force, and he loved the Tigers and loved the Lions. And he would go early morning to the VFW post to drink and come home. And his wife asked him one time, why do you go and drink before we have dinner? And he said, because I have to watch the Lions get their tail kicked and I need to be drunk. So and I mean, that's the way we all feel about this.
Yeah.
My dad, something fell in the house and I felt it was in the back. I mean, I heard it and I thought something back in the kitchen fell loud enough for Angel to come down and check, my other daughter come down and check. And we couldn't find anything what made that noise. Then as we're standing there, we're about 3 feet right beyond this desk. And we're standing there going, what was that? And all of a sudden, the picture on the front of Angie's desk of her and her daughter fell. You know, it could have been the vibrations. And I looked at that, and her eyes were wide open. I said, "Don't worry, it's my dad upset the Lions lost today. He's throwing things." You know, my dad was a lover of the Lions. And, you know, you're talking about from 58, you're talking 60 years, 60 years. You know, they're going to talk about teams that haven't made it to the Super Bowl. Well, Lions are included in that list still. So it was hard on Lion fans. You know, there's some people that are all upset we're going to do it this year. And I kid jokingly, but, you know, I haven't watched it. And on November 21st, 2006, I lost my dad. And on that Tuesday,
I remember that.
I never watched an NFL game. And if you recall the Super Bowl parties we had at the house, I didn't watch the game. I'd back there getting people food and everything. I'm not going to watch that game. That's because the Lions did my dad wrong. My dad was a diehard Lions fan, you know, and they buried John Truitt's dad in a Bobby Lane jersey. That's how much he loved the Lions and the 57 championship. After that, it's just like we're cursed. They traded Bobby Lane to Pittsburgh, and I think it's the greatest curse, more so than the Bambino, because Boston has won a World Series. So the greatest curse in football is the Lions trading Bobby Lane to Pittsburgh Steelers in 58, the year I was born. But anyhow, I got sucked in that, and watching that game, I thought, oh my, I was like this. They're going to do it. Auntie's watching it with, oh, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Get Dad's urn, and I put it on the table so he can see this. And then about early fourth quarter, I put that urn back, you know, away. It was like a total two different games.
Yeah, I don't want to make Daddy Feeds mad, but he liked me. He freaking liked me.
Oh, he loved you. He loved your son.
Yes. And the day in Spartanburg, you know, that day in Spartanburg is one of my all-time best memories of when you went. We're not going to talk about it here today, but yeah, that was pretty cool because your dad was really awesome that day.
Last words he spoke was, "I know Jonathan Crompton." He woke up from, I don't know what it was he was in on Monday night. People were there, and he woke up and he heard us talking about Jonathan. And he says, "I know Jonathan Crompton. He is a great kid." Boom. Went back down. That's the last words he's ever, he spoke. You know, I mean,
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I'm off my box and die. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're great. So let me ask you this. Are you going to watch the Super Bowl?
No.
Okay. We have 2 weeks between now and the Super Bowl. Now, I know there's 2 teams in the Super Bowl.
Right.
And I'm not throwing off on that girl at all. I am not. I think, the way she carries herself and does all that stuff, I got nothing but, God bless you. But man, 2 weeks. And again, this is a quote from my 11-year-old granddaughter. Did you know that the Taylor Swift Chiefs are playing in the Super Bowl? And she is fired up. The Taylor Swift Chiefs. And now we're going to see all those State Farm commercials. We're going to see the Kelsey brothers. And I will tell you, I'm tired of them. And they're pretty good guys, I guess. But I don't care. I just don't care. When people talk, and again, the greatest tight end that's ever lived, that's bull crap.
Hey, David.
That's garbage.
Prop bets. One prop bet I can guarantee you is the number of times that they show Taylor Swift on television. And I don't care what it is. I may put just $50 on it, but I'm going to bet the over. I'm serious. It's ridiculous. In the week 15, I said week 15 to the last night. And I did. I watched Kansas City, the first game, remember? And then I watched them, I think, twice. I watched the game before the Lions. I had to see the Lions were going to play. And I'm like, this is out of control. I mean, what is this? So what? I mean,
Well,
she's not royalty. She's a singer. Whoopie doo. We're talking football here.
no, this is a different culture with these kids, and you know, when Janet and I went to San Francisco and drove home for our, you know, just drove across the country from the first week of November. We stopped in Kansas City, and we FaceTimed Avery and Brooke, my daughter, and they said, "Where are you at?" I said, "Well, I'm on the interstate here in Kansas City." "Well, you got to go to Arrowhead Stadium." I said, "What do you mean?" "Oh, you got to go take all the pictures. You got to send them to us. You got to FaceTime us live because I have to make this my screensaver." And I drove past it. And I was about 10 miles down the road, and I looked at Janet and I saw her face, and I turned around and drove back to Arrowhead Stadium, and Janet went out and took the obligatory 100 pictures and then FaceTimed it live. And if you look at my granddaughter's screensaver on her telephone, it is this Arrowhead Stadium with the picture of the tight end and then the Taylor thing underneath. And so, you know, I get that they, you know, and that's, you know, I miss the Larry Zonkas of the world, you know, but I guess that ship has sailed.
You know what, Chris, David? The thought just occurred. How many times did they show Dick Butkus's wife when he was playing for the Chicago Bears?
None.
None.
Yeah.
We're watching a football game. I don't care who's in the booth.
Yeah.
And you know, as somebody said, she generated $331 million of extra revenue because of this relationship. And I said, yeah. And then as soon as it's all, you know, the game's all over with, then she'll break up with Kelsey, and Kansas City's loving it. And
she'll write 3 or 4 songs about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. But hey, let me ask you, and this is a serious question, because you know that I am the farthest thing from anybody in our realm from these conspiracy theories things. I'm just not. I know it's just not my thing. But my question is almost a conspiracy. Well, it is a conspiracy theory question. Was the NFL with Kansas City played Buffalo? Was Buffalo ever going to win that football game? I'm just asking, or is that just a stupid question? Because I know what I've read.
I know, having read numerous things, I can't get my head wrapped around that it is fixed. I can't do it. People want to be right. The referees, there's no script to follow because you can't script the game of football. Now, that's my thinking. And I could be totally shocked and say, you know, it ends up being, it's not to me. But if somebody says that to me, I don't say a word. I just move
That's
on.
a good answer. That's why I wanted to know what you thought. That's a great answer to me. Because you would hate for that to be the case. Again, now I know that a few people in our group think it is set up.
Right. Yeah.
For this.
They're intelligent people that think that. They're not dumb people that think that. So you got to step back. Well, that person's an intelligent person in our group. We got highly intelligent people in our group.
And then there's me and you.
Exactly.
What the hell? And we're the leaders.
Oh boy.
Oh my God.
But anyhow, they think it, and I'm like, I say nothing because I don't believe it, and they believe if they're strong on that opinion, let them think that. You know, it's just the way I roll now. So I don't tell you how to live your life, and
that's right.
Case, roll with it.
So
but I don't think it's fixed.
We're about to get off here for the night. Just again, a quick update on a couple of things. I don't have anything to disclose at this point. I am waiting on a phone call about some of the media that people have talked to us about. involving our football program. We are working to get some answers so we can move forward with that. And I have been waiting literally a month for a phone call to be returned. That has not happened. Hopefully, in the next 30 to 60 days, we can have an answer and have a plan in place to make sure that Tuscola football is elite in that area. Is that fair? Is that a fair way to say that, Chuck?
Yeah, we have loose ends that we haven't even. We're trying to tie up, but we can't.
We're trying real hard.
Yeah.
Please come. Let's get these shirts out here. That's a big deal to the football program. It's a big deal that people understand that the T is the brand and that the TFL is the brand for the football program, and that's a big deal. The other thing is pitchers and catchers report. Pretty soon we're going to have baseball. We have not decided who our two or possibly three futures bets are going to be. I know that the odds have changed, and I know that the Tigers are a possibility. I know that I'm still going to fight to have the second or third tier, maybe Baltimore, even if we won't win enough money, just because it's fun to make sure that you every day have to look at the Orioles box scores. But I think the Tigers are a possibility. And then we're going to start talking about the Braves, the Dodgers, the Phillies. I think so baseball. I'm so looking forward to baseball. I'm so looking forward to because great time last year with this.
Wasn't it fun, David, to go to the paper or go to your screen every day and read the box score
Every day
and read
every day
and follow the standings every single day?
Because the great thing now this year, and I don't want to get myself in trouble, and I do have the MLB app, okay? I do have that. And I've had it for a long time. But now, because of a certain member of my family that is not Jonathan, I've got local access to every local market, every local in the well, basically the world, but the country. So I don't have any blackout restrictions now. And then I can sit here and soak it up. And it is going to be really fun and exciting. And spring football is going to be here before you know it. The transfer stuff is going to all take place, and we'll talk. We're going to continue to talk about all that. Baseball's coming up. March Madness is going to be here before we know it. And keep this, Chuck, and because our show here as we have our second show this week coming up, I want you to put some thought in to, is Dave Clawson, and the head coach at Wake Forest, the head football coach at Wake Forest, and is he long term in this environment, or is he kind of a Dabos or in a Saban maybe, or these guys that are kind of getting out early kind of guy? Or do you think that he's going to, don't answer me tonight. I just want you to think about it, because, what started out is hatred for him has grown into, man, I really like and respect this man. And I could not have been more wrong.
No, I love Wake Forest. I hope I won't give you an answer. I'll think about it.
Yeah. So put some thought into it, and then let's preview the Orioles, the Tigers, the Mariners, and the Rangers.
Well, everybody that's watching, or the Mariners, it was breaking news just now, and I didn't see the players involved, but the Mariners and the Twins are just made a trade. Do you get there?
Let me. I love dude.
It cut off, and I couldn't hit it on my phone because it'd take me off.
Let me click this button right here. Let me look real quick. Man, forget that.
What's that?
We'll look at that in a minute. It's not on here, but
Okay.
man, somebody stole Jackie Robinson's statue and just left his cleats. They cut it at the ankles and took his dad's statue.
Where was the statue at?
Man, I'm looking, Chucky.
Was it Brooklyn or New York or what?
Wichita, Kansas.
Wichita, Kansas.
Yep.
Don't make any sense.
And we'll talk some baseball. We'll do, but hey, time to get off, Chuck.
All right.
I apologize for all my sickness and all my crap, but headed in the right direction. It's good to be back, and this is along with the Hall of Famer Chuck Fibernitz. I'll see you guys on. We're going to talk and decide what night we want to do it this week, either Tuesday or either Wednesday or Thursday. All right, brother. I'll see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.